Hey, this is JBugs and welcome to another episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Survival Guide. Today we're going to be crafting some diamond armor and tools. We're then going to give them the best enchantments around. To get a decent enchanting setup, we'll need to gather some obsidian for the enchanting table. We're then going to need to get some leather and sugarcane for the books and some wood for the bookshelves. Overall, we'll need to get 46 books, which is 46 pieces of leather, and 3 times that of sugarcane, which is 138 pieces, or 2 stacks and 10 items. To get books which are already crafted, you can go to villages and you can break the bookshelves there. You'll get 3 books from each bookshelf, so if you get lucky you can get books really quickly like this. When in the village, grab any hay bales too, as these can be broken down into wheat and then used to breed cows and get leather that way too. If you're going to try and collect the leather, there's actually going to be a couple of ways that you can do that. Whenever you see a wandering trader, if you kill the llamas, it's going to be a good source of leather. Make sure you're quick though, as the llamas will spit as soon as you start attacking them. I tend to kill the llamas whenever I see them, as they don't tend to despawn properly on Bedrock. You can also grab leads from killing them, which again are quite helpful. I find one of the easiest ways to get leather is to find a nearby plains biome. These tend to be quite easy to traverse as they're pretty flat, and you'll tend to find plenty of passive mobs here. Early game I generally use this as an easy way to collect meat too. Horses can be a source of leather too. When you hear the sounds they make though, I generally avoid it, like it's just not worth it. Fishing can be another way to get leather. It's a good side product, but you'll need to fish for a few hours to get enough for an enchanting setup. It's worth saying if you have luck of the sea you'll get less leather though, as it will be classed as a junk drop. Overall we got 35 pieces of leather from our previous AFK session, so pretty good really. If you want to build something more permanent, those leads we grabbed earlier from the wandering trader will be pretty useful. You can use the leads to click on cows. This will then allow you to move around and the cow will follow you. I found a couple of cows on the spawn island. Once we've got the lead attached, we can then start moving back to our island and they'll follow us. We can then grab some wood, which we can craft into planks and sticks and use this to build some fences. We can then use the fences to build a pen. Once the cows are in there, we'll then seal them in. If you click on a cow with a lead attached, it will then break the lead and the cow will be free again. To get in and out of the pen we just built, you can build a fence gate. The only problem with this is I find I accidentally click it and the cows end up escaping. I find it much better to grab a couple of wall blocks and break these down into carpets. We can then place the carpets on top of the fences, and although you'll be able to get over the top of this, the cows won't jump over, so they'll still be stuck in the pen. I originally built the pen a little bit smaller, but I'm now expanding it to a 7x7. This should give us plenty of room for when we breed the cows up. Now we've got the cows in the pen, let's look to grab some wheat so we can start breeding them. We'll build a 9x9 of dirt, but leave an empty block in the centre. We'll then pop some water in there with a top slab on top so we don't accidentally fall in. A stone hoe can be crafted with 3 sticks and 2 bits of cobblestone. We can use this to till the land. You'll need the water in the centre so the land stays hydrated once you till it. The water block in the middle will hydrate a maximum of 4 blocks in any direction in a square shape. This means that our 9x9 area will all be hydrated. Next we'll need to grab some seeds. We can do this by using bone meal on grass blocks and then breaking the grass that grows there. Once you have the seeds, plant these on the fertile land. You can use bone meal to speed up the process, and then once you break the fully grown wheat, you'll get more seeds back. You'll just need to make sure the wheat is fully grown though before you break it. You can tell when it's fully grown as bone meal will no longer work on it. You can then repeat this process and you'll have a full wheat field in no time at all. We can grab some bones from our skeleton farm, and this will be a great source of bone meal to really speed up the process. The hay bales we grabbed from the village earlier will again help us get to breeding even quicker. We can break these down and then start breeding straight away. You'll need at least 2 wheat to breed the cows. When you click on 2 adult cows with the wheat, you'll see heart bubbles appear above each of them, and then if they're close to each other you'll see a small cow pop out. On Bedrock, you can rebreed animals really quickly. I think it's about every minute or so you can quickly get quite a lot of baby cows. Just make sure that you leave about 20 minutes at the end for them all to grow into adults though. To speed up that process, you can use wheat on baby cows to help them grow up quicker. Each time that you click them with a piece of wheat, it will take 10% off the growing up time. Because the time to rebreed is pretty low, I find once you have about 8 cows or so, it's not really worth it though. It's then a case of rinse and repeat. Keep growing wheat and then feeding it to the cows. I tend to wait until I've got a lot of adult cows before I'll start killing them off. This way the numbers will grow exponentially. Once you have plenty of cows, you can then kill all the adults. There's no point killing the babies as they won't drop anything, and you'll want these for later as they'll grow up to be adult cows and then you can rebreed them. From killing the adults, we got over a stack of meat and half a stack of leather. Once you get looting, you'll get way more than that too. Now that we've got more than enough leather, the next thing to do is grab some sugarcane for the books. You can find sugarcane growing next to the shoreline. Grab some of this to start you off. Sugarcane can be planted on either dirt or sand blocks directly next to water. The thing is, it grows so slowly on Bedrock, it'll take forever to get 2 stacks like that. The good news is it's super simple to automate this. You'll want to start by placing some sugarcane next to the water. Pop a dispenser behind this. Make sure it's a dispenser and not a dropper. Place a redstone torch on one side of the dispenser. Then place one repeater pointing away from the redstone torch and another pointing into the dispenser. Then connect up the repeaters with 2 bits of redstone. Then place a solid block on top of the redstone torch with a piston above it. This will extend into the sugarcane and break it as it grows. We're then going to box in the sugarcane with some more blocks to stop it flying everywhere. Lastly, we can place a lever next to the redstone dust. This will allow us to turn the farm on and off as needed. We then just need to grab some bone meal and place it into the dispenser. You can probably see that each time the dispenser pops, the sugarcane will grow by 2. So each piece of bone meal will give you double that in sugarcane. So you'll get what you need in no time. One last thing to mention is that you can actually swap out the sugarcane for bamboo. You'll get a 1-to-1 exchange rate with the bone meal rather than the 2-to-1, but it's still a great way to gather bamboo. Amazing, now we've got the leather and sugarcane, it's time to craft it into the books that we need. We can then break down 24 logs into planks, and this will give us enough to craft our 15 bookshelves, and we'll also have the 1 book left over that we need for the enchanting table. To build the enchanting table, we'll head down into our mine with a bucket of water. We can place this over some lava to convert it into obsidian. Once we've grabbed 4 pieces of obsidian, this will be enough for the enchantment table. We also just need to grab 2 diamonds which we got from mining, and presto, we've got ourselves an enchantment table. Our final enchantment setup won't be on the beach. I just wanted to quickly talk about the layout though before we move to the final location. We'll place down the enchantment table and then we'll want to leave 1 air block and then start placing down bookshelves. You can see that as we've placed a couple of bookshelves, we can now enchant up to level 8. If we then place down a few more, we can enchant up to level 12, and a few more again and we can enchant up to level 17. Once we've placed down all 15 bookshelves, this will unlock level 30 enchants, which is the maximum level you'll be able to get. You'll be able to pick up your bookshelves with tools with Silk Touch, otherwise you'll only get the books back and then you'll need to recraft it again with some more wood. You can also see that we can place bookshelves on top of one another. This will allow you to build an enchantment setup in a semicircle instead of a circle. You'll only be able to place books either at the level of the enchanting table or 1 level above though. You can see that if we place a bookshelf 1 higher than this isn't in range, so we won't be able to get as high level enchantments. If you don't leave an air gap between the enchanting table, again you can see that this doesn't work. Also, if you place something in between the enchantment table and the bookshelf, like a torch, you can see that again it reduces the level you can enchant to. If you place a torch on the outside of the bookshelf though, you can see that we can still get our level 30 enchants. You'll also be able to see we can place a ceiling directly above the bookshelves. The only caveat to this is that you'll need at least one air block between the enchantment table and the ceiling. The last thing to say is if you place the bookshelves below the enchantment table, again this won't work as they'll be too low. So just to recap, you can place your 15 bookshelves as long as there's a gap between them and the enchanting table, and they can be placed either on the same level as your enchantment table or one level above. Just make sure not to fill the air gaps in between these. We've picked up our enchanting setup and we've moved over to our farms. The reason for this is that it will allow us to quickly get the XP we need to apply our enchantments. Before we place down the setup, I just want to do a little bit of redecorating to make this area a little bit nicer though. Firstly, we're going to dig out a bit more space. The room will be a 5x5, but we want extra space on the sides for chests and our workbenches. We'll also dig out some more room on the side so we can replace the walls with some stone bricks. For the floor, we're going to use some smooth stone. Once we've placed in some stone bricks for the walls, we can also use some stone brick stairs above the chest so that they can still open. Now, you might be wondering where the enchantment setup is actually going to be, and that's because we're going to place it in the ceiling. We'll place the bookshelves above us in a circle. We just want to make sure that the enchantment table is within reach still. Next, we're just going to edge the room with some smooth andesite blocks. The area around the kill chamber we're mainly going to use stone bricks in again, but we just want to pop in a piece of glass as well so we get a better view of the skeletons. It's always worth considering light sources. We're just going to use a few lanterns on the ceiling to light up the place. We want to make sure there's plenty of storage, so we're just going to pop in a few more storage chests over here. We're just going to pop in a smelting array here. I'm using the same design as previously, so I'm just going to quickly pop the items down. In hindsight, I kind of wished I'd used smokers though. The main thing I'm going to be cooking in this is meat and kelp, and they cook much quicker in smelters, even though it would mean that I couldn't cook up the armour that generates from the skeletons when we kill them by hand. We just want to place some barrels in the ceiling. This will give us some extra storage space that we can place our books in. And last but not least, let's pop down the enchanting table. Like I said earlier, we just need to make sure that there's an air gap above it between the ceiling. And one quick change to make already, I'm just going to swap in the extra bookshelf we placed and actually pop in a grindstone instead. When it comes to enchanting, these are amazing. Grindstones will let you disenchant items so that if you get a bad roll, you can remove the enchantments and start again. One thing to note on that though, you won't be able to remove cursed enchantments. We've now grabbed a load of our items and we're going to start placing them in the furnace to cook them up and gather some XP. You might notice we've also adjusted our farms by placing in a campfire. This will allow us to kill mobs so they won't build up whilst we AFK. So the next thing to do is just AFK here for a bit and let's cook down some of the items we have. You can see that after that little AFK session, now if we remove an item from the furnace, we'll get a decent amount of XP. Before we start enchanting, let's take a look at the equipment you'll use. The enchanting table will allow you to add enchantments to tools, weapons, armour and books. You can add the item and the lapis on the left hand side. This will then show you 3 enchantment options on the right. For each of these, it will show the lapis cost on the left and then the level cost on the right. It will also show you the first enchantment that will be added, but there may be other enchantments that don't show. If you don't have enough lapis or levels, it will grey out the option. You can also see that different item types will get different enchantments, but the enchantments for any item won't re-roll the more time you place it in the bench. If we enchant this book and then place another into the table, you'll see that we now don't have enough levels for the enchantment. Another piece of equipment you might use is a grindstone. If you place an item in here, it will remove the enchant and give you XP. If you place 2 items, it will unenchant these and combine them, helping to repair the item. If you try to remove enchantments from a cursed item though, it will remove the other enchantments but not the curse itself. Whilst you can combine items in a crafting grid, you'll get more durability by using a grindstone instead. The last piece of equipment you might use is an anvil. Anvils will allow you to combine enchanted items. If you combine 2 items with the same level enchant, it will upgrade it to the next level. Each time you enchant, it will have a level cost, and this will be removed from your current levels. You can see that each time we combine items, the level cost will go up. There is also a maximum level cost of 40, which will mean that you won't be able to do anything after that point. It's therefore worth adding higher cost enchantments first. In an anvil, we'll also be able to combine books with tools. Any enchantment that isn't relevant will be lost though. You'll also be able to customise the name of items in an anvil. It's time to craft up our gear now. We're going to grab our diamonds. We're going to need 24 diamonds to build a full set of armour. We're also going to build another pick, a shovel, an axe, a hoe and a couple of swords. We've also grabbed ourselves a couple of golden helmets. We'll want these for when we go into the nether. When you're enchanting your gear, there are 3 levels of enchantment. You'll need a different number of levels to use each one. Each level of enchantment will cost you that many lapis, and the 3rd level enchantment will give you the best enchants. When it comes to your gear, let's talk about the best things to add to it. The tools you're going to want to get efficiency 4 on to speed up the mining, and unbreaking to increase their durability. You can then have either fortune 3 or silk touch. Fortune will give you more drops, but silk touch will allow you to pick up the raw blocks, as in you will pick up stone instead of cobblestone. Although you can get level 4 efficiency from the enchanting table, we'll also want to grab some efficiency 4 books to upgrade our efficiency 4 tools into efficiency 5. For your sword you'll want looting 3. This will allow you to get more drops as you kill things with your sword. Unbreaking 3 will again increase the durability, and Sharpness 4 or Smite 4 will help you when you kill mobs. Sharpness will deal a bit more damage to everything, whereas Smite will deal a lot more damage to undead. This will be really important when it comes to Wither skeletons and the Wither itself. You'll also be able to upgrade to Sharpness 5 and Smite 5 too. On swords you can also get Knockback 2, that will knock back mobs when you hit them. You can also get Fire Aspect 2, which will deal fire damage. I tend to avoid these though, as I'm not a fan. Fire Aspect can be okay, but if you kill a mob and then it hits you, it will set you on fire too, so I'm not that big a fan. Knockback I just find annoying. I find when you try and kill creepers with knockback, they just explode way more often. Although the axe is a tool, it's also kind of a weapon, so I tend to put Smite 5 on that as well. When it comes to the armour, chest plates and leggings I like Protection 4 and Unbreaking 3. Protection 4 will allow you to prevent a little bit of the damage from all the different damage types. With the helmet, we want to put Unbreaking 3 and Blast Protection 4 on it. Blast Protection 4 will reduce damage from creepers and the like. Aqua Affinity is also good to have and will help you see underwater, and Respiration 3 will allow you to breathe underwater for much longer too. Lastly, there are the boots. I usually put Fire Protection 4 on these, for those times when you fall in the lava and you start to panic. As always, I want my Unbreaking 3, and then we're also going to add Depth Strider 3 to help movement underwater, and Feather Falling 4 to reduce fall damage. Later on, we'll also be able to grab Soul Speed 3 from the nether. This will help with moving quicker on soul soil. You'll also be able to grab Frostwalker from trading with villagers. You can use this instead of Depth Strider, and it will allow you to walk on water as it will convert to ice. I tend to stick to Depth Strider though, as I find it more useful. Whilst we're doing our enchants, we'll also want to get ourselves some top-notch bows. For these we want Unbreaking 3, Power 4 which can be upgraded to Power 5 and which will increase damage. Punch 2 will give us knockback and help keep mobs at bay. Flame will light them on fire, and Infinity will give you infinite normal arrows as long as you have at least one in your inventory. You won't be able to combine Mending with your bow though if you have Infinity on it. Whereas with most of my tools, I'll get good enchants on the tools themselves and then use books to upgrade them. For bows, because they're so cheap to enchant, I will just enchant a few bows and then combine them together. It's also worth looking at the bows that you get from fishing and your skeleton farm. These can actually have some pretty decent enchants on them. For all our gear apart from our bows, we're going to also add Mending. Mending will allow our gear to heal as we collect XP. We can't get Mending from the enchanting table, so we're going to cover that off in a future episode. Awesome, so you can see that from enchanting we've got ourselves some pretty decent gear already. We've also got ourselves most of the books we'll need to max out our gear, so it's almost perfect. When it comes to upgrading your enchantments, you can combine 2 enchantments of the same level to push you up to the next level instead. So if you have 2 Unbreaking 2 books, you could combine these to make an Unbreaking 3 one. It's worthwhile saying that each time you enchant though, it will become more expensive. So if you combine 2 books, it will then become a lot more costly to add that to a piece of armour. So generally I try to avoid this where I can. That's it for today. Hopefully this will help you get the best enchantments in the game too, and get some top level gear. I'd love to hear any comments below on how your enchanting experiences go. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and see you again next time. Bye!